Welcome to a very special Christmas edition of My Thoughts On. So in this edition, I'm going to talk about the 12 days of Christmas, but they're security focused. So very much like the 12 days of Christmas carol, but not in song form. So a bit different from the carol, and I'll be going through all the presents under the tree. Each present represents a different day. And I've got a companion for this as well. I'm going to go through the top 12 newsworthy events of the year. So first up, let's take a look at the first box with my helper. And what do we have inside? A router and a key. And that's because this year WPA2 was found to be insecure. And researchers found a way to break that. And what do we have in our next box? Shall we have a look at this one, Annabelle? Or this one? Let's take a look. We have inside of this box a generic face mask. And that's because this year Apple released their new facial recognition software for their phones, and within a very quick period of time, researchers were able to find a way to bypass the facial recognition software just by using a partial 3D rendering of the face itself. And let's see what we've got in our next box. We have a £10 note. And that's because recently researchers at Birmingham University, what they found is that they surveyed around 400 mobile applications related to banks, and they found most of them were vulnerable to man-in-the-middle attacks. So not much has changed there then. Oh, we've got a big, heavy box here. What could be in this? There's a computer. Don't know why we'd be getting a computer for Christmas. And this computer has an Intel processor. And that's been in the news recently because the Intel management engine was found to be vulnerable to an exploit which allowed you to connect to the engine remotely and power on the computer. What else have we got? And some good news this year. Season 3 of Mr. Robot was out, so if you haven't checked that out already, I would suggest you do it. It's great, it's kind of emotional, quite traumatic. Most of the characters become really dark in ways that you aren't expecting, but no spoilers here. And what do we have? Oh, what else? We have a generic SIM card. And that's because there were a lot of vulnerabilities found in the diameter network, and as it turns out, it's pretty much made of string and paper cups. And last but not least, let's take a look at this box here. What we have is a tiny little black hat. A little cat hat, in fact. And that's because this year we had Black Hat EU. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience at Black Hat this year. Black Hat Europe takes place in London, which is my hometown. As you probably already know about London, the weather is very much subject to change. So the weather went from overcast on the first day of the main conference to absolutely pouring with rain. Welcome to London, famous for its rain, and now Black Hat. The conference itself takes place over a number of days. The first few days are held for trainings. Then the executive briefing takes place, which I had the privilege of talking at. And then the main conference with talk tracks takes place over 2 days. There are 2 main levels, the business hall, where you could see live demonstrations and presentations, along with vendor booths and the ability to grab some swag, and then another level where the briefings were held.
The first demo, we show
There were a great selection of technical talks, some of which are also mentioned in earlier parts of this video. Hello, so you've talked a lot about what seems like a great success, but I wondered if you could talk a bit more about some of the failings you've had along the way in your career.
Yeah. So I had one time where I managed to get into the server room. And so I go in, I walk into their server room, I sit down at the terminal, and next thing you know, about, 5 minutes later, somebody comes in. And they say, "Who are you and why are you in our server room?"
I had a chance to catch up with a few folks at the conference to find out what they thought about it. And here's what they said.
So how are you finding the conference so far?
It's great as usually.
Yes?
A lot of people, interesting talks, and many familiar people.
And how was your presentation?
I believe it was okay. Not too little amount of people, several questions. I think I did good.
It's been really good. Like, it was one of my first proper sort of information security events. So I'm really enjoying it so far, definitely.
Amazing. And why are you here?
I actually won my briefings pass from Cybersecurity Challenge UK.
Congratulations!
So, I was at Masterclass competition a couple of weeks ago, so I won. This is part of my prize.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So how are you finding the conference so far?
It's been pretty nice. We came all the way from Dublin, Ireland. So virtually to see what's going on in the security world, to see the various advances that have been made by some people to either mitigate or break into some well-known applications and software.
How are you finding Black Hat?
Oh, well, it's really great. I work for networking, and I like all the people that are here too.
And what have the talks been like so far?
Oh, I haven't really been anywhere but here, just socializing mainly.
So that's it, folks. The conference was amazing, a great selection of technical talks, and it's really growing in size. So I highly recommend you check it out if you have only been to the USA version. Thanks for watching my video. If you liked it, please follow me on Twitter, and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas.